It's fall in Lackawanna. Do you know Lackawanna? It's where my father and his father and my mother and her mother worked in the steel company, the Bethlehem Steel Company. 20,000 people work there. At its height, it was the world's largest steel factory and produced steel plates for the military, beams used in the Empire State Building and the Golden Gate Bridge. It attracted immigrants from many lands to settle here and make their homes. Black Americans from the South, Poles, Ukrainians, Greek, Irish, Lebanese, Syrian.
It's now a casino on a brownfield filled with contaminants known to have caused cancer and emphysema. Do you know the lake effect? Not the massive snowstorms that fall over Lackawanna, caused by the Arctic air mass moving across Lake Erie. The lake effect is what happens to the people who live on this land. Sometime around now, in the fall. Some say it's caused by contaminants from the old steel company. Some say it goes back before then, that it's something or someone, the first people to call this land home, left behind.
The three of us. Let's call us Williams, Franklin, and Anderson. We were teenagers, freshmen at Bowman High School. The old Bethlehem Steel Administration Building was always a good place to hang out, away from annoying parents. It was massive, this stone gray fortress, almost. It took up the entire block. We'd get stoned and skip classes and sneak into the back entrance.
Most of the time we just hang out above ground, finding old stuff to steal or set on fire.
But that Halloween, we got more stupid than usual, and Franklin dared us to go down to the lake. No, not Lake Erie, the lake below the building. 100 years ago, this place was powered by steam. In fact, the factory was built over the water. When the factory shut down, the water was just left to sit there, creating this lake that only a few people had ever seen. They said there was some story of this woman who still lived down there, who drowned her children.
Franklin's brother had told us how to get down there. We climbed down like a million stairs and reached this huge, dark pit of water, surrounded by brick archways that were filled with nothing but blackness. We stood there, not knowing what to do next, when I heard something.
I didn't hear anything.
I felt a breeze.
Yeah, Anderson and Franklin didn't hear anything.
Anderson said it was a breeze.
No, it was more like a gust.
I asked again, didn't you hear that noise?
No.
No.
It sounded like... Never mind.
Anderson and I were not paying attention.
We were not paying attention when suddenly a fog came over.
It was like smoke.
White smoke that drifted past Williams. A cloud, maybe?
A cloud, and then slowly I couldn't see Williams and Franklin. Hey, are you there?
Still here.
Yup.
Cloud soon was all around us. I could feel the droplets of water. I could hear Williams and Franklin talking.
Who were the Bills playing this week?
Dallas.
Dallas sucks.
And then suddenly silence.
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 Hello? Williams? Franklin?
None of us could see each other or hear one another.
Hello?
Hello?
And then
The crying.
Wailing.
I tried to stand up and leave, but my legs wouldn't work. My arms wouldn't move. I was frozen. And then there was her voice.
Don't go down to the river, child. Don't go there alone. The sobbing woman, wet and wild, might claim you for her own.
Suddenly, the fog began to fade and they were gone. Anderson and Franklin just disappeared. Anderson? Franklin! I could stand again, and when I did, there was no Anderson and Franklin. I was alone. But then,
I tried to stand up, but my legs wouldn't work. My arms wouldn't work, wouldn't move. I was frozen, and there was her voice.
She weeps when the sun is murky red. She wails when the moon is old. She cries for her babies still and dead, who drowned in the water cold.
ah!
Suddenly, the fog began to fade, and they were gone. Williams and Franklin just disappeared. Williams! Franklin! I could stand again, and when I did, there was this flash of light, but there was no Williams and Franklin. I was alone, but then
I tried to stand up and leave, but my legs wouldn't work. My arms wouldn't move. I was frozen, and then there was her voice.
She seeks her children day and night, wandering lost and cold. She weeps and moans in dark and light, a tortured, restless soul.
Ah!
ah!
Suddenly the fog began to fade and they were gone. Williams and Anderson just disappeared. Williams! Anderson! I could stand again, and when I did, there was this light, but there was no Williams and Anderson. I was alone, but then a child appeared, backlit so that I could only see its shape but could hear crying. The child was walking slowly towards me.
I saw on the ground in front of me a form. This light from nowhere blinded me, and I couldn't make it out completely, but it was definitely a child. Then this force seemed to yank me toward the form on the ground, forcing me to reach the child.
The silence filled everything, and then the light went out. A darkness that felt like a blanket enveloped me, and I froze. I could hear nothing. I could see nothing. I sucked in breath after breath and willed my body to be still. And that's when I felt the figure beside me, and a tiny hand slipped into mine.
But as the child grew closer, I could see its face crumpled in whatever terror and grief caused its crying, and it was completely frozen. Confused, I reached out to touch its face, but it crumbled in my hand, and in its place was her face.
I felt a hand had pushed me, and I landed hard on the ground. It was just inches away from the form now, and I lifted my head and came face to face with her.
Before I knew what was happening, I was being dragged by a force much stronger than the child's hand that gripped me. The lake was just a few feet in front of me, and I knew without a doubt where I was going.
I recoiled and stumbled back. I turned and ran faster than I ever knew how. I don't know
how I knew how to get out of there. I just ran, and I could feel her behind me like force trying to pull me back.
And then I saw, hovering over the lake, figures.
My heart was pounding from running so hard.
I felt like I just couldn't get enough air.
They were children, and they were laughing.
I ran upstairs, so many stairs, up and up I went, and I started to think I must almost be back at the entrance.
And that's when I felt they were like two hands gripped on the back of my neck.
They were beautiful and glowing, and I just had to see who they were.
I fell on the stairs hard.
I could feel myself sinking.
I walked towards the lake. I felt the water run around my ankles.
And then the grip around my neck disappeared.
I could breathe again.
I got to my feet, sucking in air.
The air seemed to clear, the gloom just evaporated.
I realized that the main entrance was just a few feet away.
I opened the door to the lobby and
Anderson!
Franklin!
We just stood there gasping in shock, which turned to relief, and then we started to laugh.
God, we just laughed. It was like we didn't know what else to do.
And then we stopped laughing. Where's Williams?
Hello? Who are you? Hello?
Who am I? I am the lake effect. You asked for my favorite Halloween memory? Well, now you know. Any other stupid questions?